Hi, in this video we will talk about how to use Vlookup in Excel. This is one of the most important techniques in Excel. So if you master this one, you would be able to do a lot of things in Excel. So let's get started by a simple situation. I have two columns here. The first column is the patient ID and the next one is the discharge status. Now, how about joining this with a patient register where you have the patient ID, the name of the patient, age, and the comorbidities, etc. And looking at the data which we have, we only have the patient ID and the status of the patient when the patient was discharged from a hospital. Now, in order to bring this data and join it properly based on the ID, we can use the Vlookup. So let's create the Vlookup. So it's Vlookup. What are we looking for? The lookup value is our patient ID, so it's sitting in cell A7 in this case. And then table array, where is the data where we are going to look up? So the data is sitting in the patient register tab, and the data is this. So starting from A4 until D10. To make it absolute, I'm going to put a dollar in front of the range, and there's a shortcut also. So if I go to D10 and if I simply press F4 on my keyboard, so pressing F4 would automatically put the dollar signs in front of D10. There we go. And then the column index number, what column are we going to take back to our main sheet? So this being the first, second, or the third column. So let's say I want to pick the first column. And next one is, this should always be false because you want to do exact match. So just put false there, which allows exact match. Unless there's a proper match, it's not going to bring the data back. So using that, I press enter. You notice that it has brought 1, 2, 3. And if I carry this formula down, you would notice that it has actually picked the first column, which was this. But we already have the first column, so why don't we change it to the second column? So over there, I can, instead of the column index number 1, I can do 2. So when I do 2, it's going to bring the name of the, it has brought the names of the patient. So what if we wanted to bring the age as well? You can do the same thing. I can copy this function to the next one. Now you would notice, because this has shifted to B7, so over here our lookup value was A7, but when I copied this across, it became B7. So one way to fix that one is either give A7 here, so it has actually picked it, and the other option is to change this to dollar. So when I do this, this is going to work, but when I carry the whole thing across to the next column, this will work as well. So I can simply change it to the third column now, because now we want to get the third column, which is the age column. So you would notice that if I drag this formula down, we got the age. Now if I move this forward and if I change it to the fourth column, which is the comorbidities, I can simply go and change the column index to 4. So suddenly we have complete data merged into our initial data which we had. So this is something similar to a join in SQL, or combining the data, whatever you want to call it. So let's have another example, and this time I want to do an example of a sales company where we have the customer ID in the first column, and then the recent order by that customer. So for example, 123, customer ID 123 bought a television, and then the 456 bought a fridge, etc. And then notice that we have repeated the customer ID 123 because they might have actually bought a TV remote after some time. So let's bring the data back into this table. So as we already know that we have to start with lookup and using the customer ID. In this case, we can make this as, put a dollar sign in the front so that it becomes an absolute for the column. And when we copy the function from one column to another, it won't change. So it will always look at A. So, comma, where is the data sitting? The data is now sitting in customer list. So I'm highlighting the complete table which I have, and I'm going to put the dollar signs, so make it absolute so that when we copy it across it doesn't change. So I can press F4, go there and press F4, and then column index. In this case, let's start bringing the second column, because we know that we can always bring first column, second column, or the third column. So second column, and then we know that we have to give exact match, so the false option has to be selected. So there we go, we have got the name of our client, and if I copy it across and if I go and change it to 3, the third column, we would get the name of the company or the company of that client. So in this case, we have joined the data with this, and I hope you found this information useful. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.